Hello friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite sports romance recommendations. Now, sports romance is a very large subgenre within the romance genre as a whole. It's one that I really love. I feel like it is honestly the genre that kind of got me into reading romance. There's just something about it that is so fun. It kind of raises the stakes, gives the romance a little extra oomph, a little extra interest. Now, am I someone that likes sports? No. So if you're looking for recommendations with like realistic portrayals of sports, this might not be the video for you. But in my humble opinion, I do think all of the sports in all of these books is done well, and understandably for a layman such as myself, they're just a fun time. And so I wanted to bring you these recommendations. I think I have a total of 13 books / series to recommend to you today. All of them are going to be queer. So we have MLM romances, WLW romances, and I think at least one, if not two, romances with trans rep. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. So I feel like it's only right that I start this video off where it all began, for me at least, and that is with Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. This is an MLM hockey romance that hinges on the rivals to lovers trope. This book follows Shane and Ilya. Shane and Ilya have made kind of their hockey careers centered around their rivalry. It is very notorious both on and off the ice that these two do not like each other. They're basically in direct competition for the best player in the league, but at the beginning of the book, this rivalry is taken to like a new explosive level. The two start kind of hate hooking up. For a lack of a better phrase, they keep like meeting up in secret, and this relationship between them builds until it gets to a point where it is this huge secret that really could threaten both of their hockey careers. This really is a very special romance book. It is very near and dear to my heart. It is one of my first like adult romances that I really fell in love with, and so I think I will always love this book. But I do think that it is a really good one to have gotten me into the genre, to gotten me into romance, because it is just super well written, super well done. I love Shane and Ilya with my whole heart. They are characters that I think about often. I love them both so much. They're both so complex, but also complement each other really well. And just seeing the way that their relationship blossoms and they both come to learn new things about one another and themselves, it's just so well done. I feel like the hockey element in this book gives a good like forbidden romance aspect to it as well, because there's not a lot of gay hockey players. How can we be together? It adds that element, that layer to things that I think keeps the tension high, keeps the pages flipping, and keeps me at least so invested because I'm stressed. And I just love these characters. They are my babies. I want everything good for them. And I would recommend this book to nearly everyone. It is honestly very close to a perfect book. Another book that I read and loved during my like beginning stages of dipping my toe into adult romance was Savage Rivals by Becca Steele. This is another rivals to lovers sports romance, except the boys in this book are playing soccer. This is another MLM romance, and I believe that it's set in like the senior year of high school. So if you don't love reading about high school aged kids, this kind of reads like a new adult romance. Everyone's over the age of consent, but some people don't love that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But if you can get past that, this book is really good. This book has the best iteration of the who did this to you trope that I've ever read in my life. If you ever like just need that trope in your life, this is the book for you. I go back and read this book just for that scene because it is so good. It is like the epitome of that trope. It is so perfect. So in this book, we're following our main characters, Asher and Levi. Like I said, they play soccer. They're captains of rival like high school teams. I think it's also called football in this because I think this is set in Britain. But their rivalry isn't just reserved for the pitch, it also occurs off the field as well. Their chemistry, their rivalry just again implodes. This also has one of the best first kiss scenes, in my opinion, in any book ever, and their rivalry just escalates to this point where it turns into sexual tension and they start hooking up. They start developing feelings for each other the more time they spend together. This really feels like more like enemies to lovers than rivals to lovers. Like these two truly hate each other in the beginning of the book, and I love that. Like I love me a true enemies to lovers, and so this really fulfilled that for me. But they're also like so damn attracted to each other and so conflicted, and it was just the tension and the pining and the whole like sexual awakening thing was just so damn good. I love this book so much. It is such a fun time. It's such a fun, quick read, and I really love it. Definitely one of my favorite sports romances. I also can't make this video without talking about the CU Hockey series by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This is such a good series if you haven't read it already. It is a series of companion MLM contemporary hockey romances that are set in college. Each of them follow a different pair of characters and a different set of circumstances and a different set of tropes. Honestly, they're all really good, except for the fifth one. I would not recommend the fifth one, honestly. But the other ones are just so good. The first book has the jock nerd trope, and also brothers or best friend's brother trope too. And then the second book is another like rivals to lovers, enemies to lovers book with another one of the best first kiss scenes ever, in my opinion. The third book actually really holds a special place in my heart because one of the characters is on the asexual spectrum. He identifies as demisexual. It also has one of my favorite tropes ever, which is the anonymous trope. So our two main characters are like chatting online and getting to know each other and getting to like each other online, but they're under anonymous screen names. They don't realize that they also know each other and also like each other in real life. So I love that trope. It is so good, and when like everything is revealed, it's just so amazing. I actually need to reread that book, I think, because it is really, really good. So I love that one. And then the fourth book is kind of another jock nerd trope situation, but the nerd tutors the jock and gives him some sexual motivation, shall we say. And I also love that one. Asher probably is my favorite character in the whole series, who's in the fourth book. He is just a little like cinnamon roll with such a prickly exterior, and I love that kind of character. I eat that shit up. So I love all of these books. I definitely think the third and the fourth I love the most, but I feel like the second book is actually like the most widely read, most popular, and then the first book I really loved as well, but I think I would rank it last, or well, the fifth book is actually last, but we're not even talking about that one. So yes, the first four books in the CU Hockey series, I loved all of these. They're all so good. They also kind of brought me in to the beginning of my adult romance reading, and I just binged this whole series literally in like a week when I discovered Kindle Unlimited, and I love it so much. It is so good if you haven't read it yet. Alright, I also can't make this video without shouting out my girl Kiera Andrews, specifically Kiss and Cry and Reading the Signs. These are two of my all-time favorite, not only sports romances, but just romances in general. They're both adult romances. Kiss and Cry is between two rival ice skaters who are forced to train with the same coaches in the same facility when they haven't done this their whole lives, but they're both competing for their Olympic dreams to make the next Olympic team. They really don't like each other. They're not vibing. It's kind of grumpy sunshine. Finally, the sunshine character wears down the grumpy character, and they start to become friends, become closer, and develop this like attraction to each other. This book has a lot of hurt comfort in it. I love the sports element and how it's two male ice skaters. Like, I think that was super interesting and unique and fun to read about, and I just really love these characters. And Reading the Signs is age gap, and they play baseball, and so it's like the veteran player and the rookie player. The veteran player kind of takes the rookie player under his wing, tries to kind of help him channel his like energy and sort of anger issues into baseball, into being a good player, and he's kind of a brat. The veteran player is kind of a daddy, so that kind of dynamic starts to happen, but it's just really good. Like, the characters are so lovable and so wonderful, and their chemistry together is just insane. I also feel like I haven't read a lot of baseball romances, so I liked that it was baseball, and it was a lot of fun. I really love both of these books so much. Kiera Andrews really is excellent at like developing a well-paced story and a well-paced romance and creating characters that you can't help but love and root for. So I really love these two books as well. Next, I want to recommend a newer read, and that is Gravity by Tal Bauer. This is another MLM hockey romance. This one is not rivals to lovers though. This one honestly is kind of, I don't even know what trope I would consider this. Basically, our two main characters are NHL hockey players. One is kind of like the golden boy of the league, and the other is like kind of a newer player. He's trying to find his footing. Both of them meet at All-Star Weekend. Bryce, who is the more veteran player, has always known that he's gay, but he's not out because he plays professional hockey, but he feels like he feels this connection with Hunter, and Hunter feels it too, but Hunter has never really thought about his sexuality. His life has just been hockey, and so Bryce like makes a move on Hunter up during All-Star Weekend, and Hunter kind of freaks out, and so this becomes a really like a sticking point where Hunter has to go and evaluate himself, and Bryce feels like really broken, really hurt, like the first time he's ever let himself want something, like it doesn't work out, and so Bryce kind of starts going through this spiral. His hockey's really bad. bad. And his coaches are like, oh, well, you played so well at All-Star Weekend with Hunter. Let's transfer Hunter to the team. Little do they know, Bryce and Hunter are not on good terms right now. But they're being forced to work together, and Bryce's whole hockey career is kind of like on the line, and so he's got to figure his shit out. A lot of that involves figuring out his relationship with Hunter, and as soon as Hunter like gets some space from it, he's like, I probably made a mistake, like I didn't know what was going on in the moment, but I want to figure it out. And so he's just like lovely and patient and like lets Bryce work through his shit, and then is like, listen, I'm sorry, let's work this out. I don't know, they have a really cute romance, and I really liked this book a lot. This was my first Talbauer, and I definitely am gonna read more from him in the future because he was just such like a wonderful writer, created such a wonderful story, such wonderful characters. There was like a lot of hockey in the middle of this one. So it was a little bit hard for me at points to understand what the hell was going on because I don't know anything about hockey. All I know about hockey has come from MLM romances, I'm gonna be honest. But this one was still really good. It was really excellent. I really, really loved it. Another book that I want to talk about is The Prospects by K.T. Hoffman. I've talked a lot about this book on my channel because it was one of my favorite books that I read last year, but I had to include it in the sports romance recommendations because it is amazing and it is a sports romance. In this book, this is a baseball book. We're following Gene and Louise. Gene and Louise used to know each other, had a bit of a falling out. Gene is trans. He's the first openly trans player in professional baseball. I think he's playing in the minor leagues. Yeah, he's currently in the minor leagues. Louise gets transferred to Gene's team. The way their positions work, they have to work together, but they don't like each other. So they have to figure their shit out again. We start to have a bit of a romance between them as they begin to work together. This is like a really soft, really sweet book, and it is just so joyful and happy. Like there are of course are moments of like tension or sadness. That's what it's like being queer, unfortunately, still, but the ending of this book is so hopeful, so magical, so lovely. Like especially in this political climate, this is a good book to pick up if you want to remember that there is good in the world, that there are people that want the world to look like this. Like this is a book about trans joy. What better time to pick this book up than right fucking now? Please purchase this book. Please support this author. Please support queer stories. Please support trans stories. I was not trying to get emotional in this fucking video. I'm talking about queer sports romances, goddammit. This book is amazing. It's kind of like friends to enemies to friends to lovers. It's a wonderful progression. It's a beautifully written book. It is so much fun, and it really is about queer joy and about convincing our characters to dream bigger, be the best they can be, and it's a beautiful world, and I want to live inside this book, so I would recommend you read this also. Another old school recommendation is Him by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This is another MLM hockey romance, and in this book we're following our main characters Jamie and Ryan. Jamie and Ryan used to be best friends, and then they had a bit of a falling out. Jamie really can't figure out why they had a falling out. He honestly has no idea why he lost his closest friend, and the two of them come back into each other's orbit when they're both coaching this hockey camp, I think. Yeah, they turn up to coach this hockey camp for kids for the summer, and this is the first time they have seen each other in so long since they had this like falling out in their friendship, and they have to figure out like what's going on, if they can be friends, and how they're gonna survive this summer together, working together for 6 weeks. I'm sure you can guess how they survive the summer, but this is such a well-written, fun romance book. This was another book that was like a big introduction to MLM romances for me. It really kicked things off. I loved this book so much. I read it like quite a long time ago. When did I read it? Oh, I read it in 2021. That's not that long ago. It still was one of the first like adult spicy romances that I read, and I really, really loved it. Thought it was so good. It is kind of similar. I kind of associate it, I think, in my head with Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. I feel like those two books were kind of written around the same time. They're kind of like feel similar, but this one is very good on its own as well, and I love a summer camp. I don't know if you know that about me. That's like one of the weird specific things in books that I really enjoy is summer camp. It's probably because I never went to one, but I love that concept, and I think that really made me love this book as well. And also I do love seeing my male main characters interact with children. I think it's so cute. And so again, this is another book that it was kind of like friends to enemies. They're not really enemies, but not friends. To friends again, to lovers. It has a good progression, has really good chemistry, and I really love the characters and I love the story, and it was really good. Alright, another hockey romance is Icebreaker by A.L. Graziati. It is funny that hockey seems to be the thing that is like most common in the MLM like romance genre. I don't know what it is about hockey, but I love it. I'm not complaining. Anyway, So Icebreaker actually is a YA romance, so if you're looking for something a little bit, I hesitate to say lighter because I feel like this one deals actually with like more emotional and deeper themes, but maybe if you want something that's not spicy, this is a good recommendation for you. It kind of reads a little bit like new adult, more so than YA because the boys are in college, but again, it doesn't have that like spicy aspect to it, so it would be a good choice before that. So this book follows Mikey and Jason. Mikey and Jason are both amazing hockey players. Mikey is a legacy hockey player for this college and he really wants to live up to this legacy, prove himself, but Jason is the one standing in his way. They both are competing for like the #1 spot. I don't know. And Jason is also just infuriating and attractive and in Mikey's way in general. And once again, we have a rivalry that turns into something more between Mikey and Jason. Surprise, surprise. Very shocking, I know. But like I said, this is a really sweet book. It is a really sweet romance. I really enjoyed seeing like the pining and kind of coming of age themes in this book. And I do think, like I said, this book does offer like a bit more emotional depth than some of the other ones. This is a book I would recommend checking the trigger warnings on, as it does talk about depression and mental health, but I think that those things were done well and done effectively and done relatably, and so I definitely wouldn't hesitate to recommend this to anyone. Just like be in the right headspace. It does feel a little bit darker in theme. It's not like a happy-go-lucky light sports romance, but it is a really, really good sports romance and I really, really loved it. It's one that I don't hear talked about enough, so I definitely wanted to recommend it in this video and I definitely think you should check it out if it sounds interesting to you. Keeping with the YA theme, I also want to recommend She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan. This is a WLW high school basketball romance. Actually, one girl's a basketball player and one girl's a cheerleader, so even better. I didn't realize when I was building this list that literally almost all of these books are freaking enemies to lovers, but that's just a trope that holds a special place in my heart that I love, and so many of the books that I love are that trope naturally. Sorry if there's not enough variety, but it is what it is. Anyway, in this book we're following our two main characters, Scotty and Irene. Now, Scotty is a basketball player and she just broke up with her ex-girlfriend and she also just lost her first game of the season, and so she is having a really bad day. And her really bad day gets even worse when she gets into a fender bender in the school parking lot with Irene, who is also her nemesis. And things only get worse when their nosy moms intervene and decide that because Irene's car is ruined, Scotty should drive her to school every day. And so these two are forced to spend even more time together despite the fact they don't like each other. But then enters a fake dating scheme because Scotty wants to make her ex-girlfriend jealous and she bribes Irene into doing this with her, and they begin to fake date. And of course, what happens when people fake date? Real feelings begin to happen. So that's what happens in this book. And this was such a cute like high school romance. It was so sweet, so lovely. I really enjoyed the sports elements of it. I also really appreciated how this one dealt with mental health, and there is this whole kind of plot line of Scotty really being messed up by her ex-girlfriend, and at the end of the story, instead of like jumping right into a committed relationship with Irene, it's really emphasized that she takes some time to work on herself and to make sure she is emotionally ready for a new relationship, and I really appreciated that. I thought that that was such a good thing to include in a YA story, and I just really enjoyed seeing that. I love that realism and that positive, healthy representation of relationships and emotions and dealing with things in high school. I thought that was really good. And yeah, this is just a really cute, fun, quick read that also has some depth, has some good messages that I really like, that I definitely would recommend. The next two books are more recent reads, and the first one that I want to talk about is Hotshot by Claire Lydon. This is a WLW adult soccer romance. Yeah, soccer. They call it football because it's in England again. In this book, we're following Sloane and Ella. Sloane is a hotshot soccer player from the US who is recruited by this British team to play for them for a year. There, she meets Ella, and Ella, I don't know, she works for the team in some capacity, like in the office. Sloane and Ella like start together. Their first day is the same day, and so that's how they kind of meet. They also live in the same building, and so they start to form this camaraderie of like being new, but also they really enjoy each other's company and like being together. Again, we have kind of a theme of Sloane having just broke up with her girlfriend, and so she's kind of dealing with some stuff, but she is really attracted to Ella, thinks something could happen, but they really are just friends for a while, and things kind of develop very like naturally between them, which I always appreciate and I enjoyed reading about. Thought it was good. There is a lot of soccer in this story, which I liked. And I definitely think if you're a women's soccer fan, like specifically, you would really like this book. I was getting a lot of vibes, a lot of references that probably went over my head, but I feel like if you are a big like women's soccer fan, you would really love this book. And even if you're not, like, I don't know anything about sports, doesn't matter who plays them. I don't care. I really loved this book. I thought it was really well done. It was really cute. It was really sweet and soft, and it also had some nice spicy scenes that I enjoyed. So this was definitely a win, and I really loved it. Actually, maybe one of my favorite books on this list, if I had to pick, is How You Get the Girl by Anita Kelly. I read this one recently and I love it so much. It was so good. In this book, we're following Julie and Elle. Julie is a basketball coach for a high school team. She played basketball like in college, but never professionally. But one day, her like basketball celebrity crush walks into her gym, Elle Cochran, and Julia's like, oh my god. Turns out Elle is the foster mom slash aunt to the new girl on Julie's team, and she just comes in to kind of talk to Julie about the situation that's going on. The two of them actually don't hit it off. They kind of get bad first impressions of each other because Elle is having a migraine attack. As things progress and they meet more often and speak more, they actually start to really enjoy each other's company, really like each other, and Julie like wears Elle down and convinces her to help coach the team because Julie is doing it by herself for the first year, could really use somebody, and also it's like a good way for Elle to spend time with her foster daughter slash niece. Them doing that, spend more time together, they get to know each other, they get to like each other, they fall in love with each other, and it's really, really cute. This is also another really special book to me because Julie is on the asexual spectrum. She's never had a relationship before, always kind of questioned whether she's even attracted to people before, but she knows she's attracted to Elle. And I just really always appreciate characters that are on the ace spectrum because that I'm seeing myself in a book. And so I think that that is another thing that made this really special for me, but also it was just so well written and the characters are so lovely and wonderful. And I loved so much not only Julie and Elle's relationship, but also both of their relationships with Vanessa, who is Elle's niece, Elle's foster daughter. So sweet, so lovely, and just the progression of the relationship just felt very natural, felt very sweet, felt very lovely. This book is definitely a huge win. It was fun to see them as coaches too, and like coaching high school basketball. I don't know, it was just a really, really good book. I really loved it. Anita Kelly is definitely a very underappreciated author in my opinion. I love their stuff. I think it is so good. I definitely think you should read this one if you haven't already. All right, and then the last recommendation I have is kind of a bonus recommendation. It definitely was not going to go on this list, and I wasn't planning to include it. I didn't read it to include it, but as I was reading it, I was like, you know, this is technically a sports romance. And so I also do want to recommend The Brat and the Beast Duet by Misha Horn because I fucking loved it. Like, it was so good. I don't know why I'm embarrassed. You guys know I'm a freak. Like, you know. This is not new news, but I loved these books so much. Okay, so the first book in this series, 270 pages, read it in a day. Second book in this series, 444 pages, read it in 24 hours. I read it in 24 hours. Literally, if I was not eating, sleeping, or working, I was like flipping the fucking pages. It was so good. It was so good. This story is another that is set in high school, but this is not a YA book. Both characters are 19, so age of consent. They both like were held back a year for home reasons. They're seniors in high school. Yeah, there's no age gap going on in this story, and we have a jock and a nerd dynamic, except it's kind of subverted because the nerd is the daddy. It starts off as a tutoring situation. Our main character Logan has had a really rough life. Life's really just beaten him down. His only way out of his hometown, away from his awful fucking mom, is football. And so he throws his all into football. He has gotten a scholarship to like a D2, D3 school, and he is just determined to make this work because it's his only option. But things are kind of on shaky ground because he is not doing well in chemistry. And so that's where Caleb comes in. Caleb volunteers to tutor Logan so that he can get a good grade in chemistry so that he can keep his football scholarship and keep playing football. As the tutoring goes on, Caleb starts to realize that Logan needs his help in more ways than just one, that Logan really needs somebody to take care of him and protect him and keep him safe. Caleb steps up to the bat. Don't fuck with Logan because Caleb will fucking kill you. I don't know, like this book, I had heard of it for a while and I kind of like, it would come up every once in a while. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it doesn't really sound like it's exactly what I like when I read this kind of thing. It was so good. Like, I wish I could go back and read it a long time ago. Like, it was really good. I don't know what about it. Like, in the whole series, like all freaking 700 pages of this series take place in a week, like 100 pages per day. Like, crazy. The first smut scene in the first book literally takes up the back 50% of the book. A smut scene for 170 pages. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's so good. It's so fucking hot. So fucking hot. Incredible. I love this duet. And so this is my bonus recommendation for you, is this series, because it was literally just incredible. I loved it so much. It was written so well. The characters were so good. I cared about them so much. I literally am still thinking about them. I'm still having a book hangover from this series a week later because it was just so good. And nothing will compare. It was amazing. All right, that's enough for me. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I do feel like I'm missing some WLW recommendations. I've read more than this, but they didn't hit the same, so I didn't want to include them in this video. So if you have any more like a WLW or trans sports romance recommendations, please leave them in the comments. I would love to add them to my TBR to check them out. I definitely do feel like I'm lacking in that area a bit. But yeah, if you're interested in any of these, I will link them in the description. I also do denote when they are Kindle Unlimited so that you can get them for free. You'll know which ones are on KU. Most of these are. I would say probably 75% of them are on KU, so that's great if you have a KU subscription. You can also follow me on all social media. Those links are in the description. Also would appreciate if you do all the fun YouTube things like liking this video, subscribing to my channel. I post exclusively videos about queer books, so if that is something that interests you, I would love to have you stick around. Also, leave me a comment. Anything you want to say to me, say it in the comments. Love to hear it. So I think that is everything from me today. Thank you so much for being here and for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.